Well, today we present this position paper on an application of what we will call, at least for now, compositional quantum cognition. This is more like a research program, an invitation to explore these ideas. So we will see what happened with your comments. Usually, we should start with motivations, introduction, experiment, suggestions, etc. But here we will do something a little bit different. So we will need your collaborations in this first part of the presentation. What we will do is define a toy experiment, then we will construct the explanation of this toy experiment, and finally show the motivation of this proposal that just making a joke maybe can be only a bigger toy experiment. But of course we expect something better than that. So what I will start to do with you is describing 3 different situations and asking you 2 very simple questions. So please be focused on this and collaborate with me to this toy experiment. So the first situation is very simple. You are after a shipwreck, and a healthy dog and an injured man are floating and trying to survive. So you are in the emergency boat with only one space left. You don't have any other options, you can only save one of them. So if you understood, it's a possibility actually. You have many possibilities, but in this case I will say that you are only confronted with these 2 possibilities. So you need to decide to save one or the other. Yes?
How injured?
Sorry?
How much is the injury?
That's a good question also. Yes? All of these questions are very good, but it depends on you. So I think that now you have enough time to decide. And I will ask you to raise your hand. Who would say the healthy boy? Sorry, dog. Sorry. Oh. No, the healthy dog. You would understand. No one loves dog? Nice. Perfect. Nice. So now who would say the injured man? Interesting. Nice. Well, the second question is for yourself. You need to think about this question. Why you would take this decision. So please think about that. Try to answer it in your head. And perfect. So we can continue. The second situation, it's more or less similar. You are also after a shipwreck, but you have a healthy boy, and now you have an injured man floating and trying to survive. So the same situation, you should say only one. Who would you say? Okay? Enough time? Okay. Who would say the healthy boy? Listen. Who would say the injured man? Why? The same question. Why? Why you would decide for this or the other decision? Okay? And now the last one, maybe you can guess what I will ask you, of course. The third situation is more or less the same. You're after a shipwreck, but now you have a healthy boy and you're in your father, or important relative for you, in this case, your father. So they are also floating and trying to survive, and the question is exactly the same. Who would you say? The healthy boy or your injured father? So no questions for now. Then I can. So please raise your hand. Who would say the healthy boy? Interesting. Who would say your injured father? I think that all of us saw what is happening here. No? different situations, maybe different contexts, similar questions, but now, well, of course, you also need to think why you answer like this. That's my second important question to you. But now, a general question. Which one of these three situations was more complicated to solve? The first, the second, or the third one? Can you, someone of you can say, or just? Mm-hmm.
I think the first one is the most one.
The first one, or the third one? Okay. Someone else has another.
Yes, the first one is maybe because it's so confusing. You know at once what does it mean? Why you ask this question?
So it's,
That's I think why one maybe thinks
yes,
there is a trick behind it.
yes, yes, of
Why
course.
is it really wrong?
It is actually. Yes.
I think modeling the third situation is more complicated, but in terms of making a decision, maybe the second one is also more complicated.
Interesting. Yes.
And again, I think the first one is more complicated, and for instance, the other two are more morally and ethical related. So you are already used to them, but the first one is a little bit unexpected. So I found it more difficult.
Perfect.
And
So,
another
yeah.
thing is usually because when I was in Germany, I had to go to the army, but I refused. So you were asked this kind of question. And the right answer is you refuse to give an answer. The answer, no respect.
Unfortunately, I didn't give you that option, but yes, you should. The last comment? Someone? No? Okay. Yes.
I think I might actually be unusual, but I found these in strictly increasing order of complexity.
Which one, sir?
I found the first the simplest,
The simplest.
and second the next simplest.
So-
the
so-
most complicated.
It's amazing. I have very good feedback of this toy experiment now. I'm trying to do this experiment each time that I can, and each time I learn something new. Hopefully, would help me to develop a very good experiment of this kind. So now I will explain you why I'm asking you these things.
But perhaps also the complexity comes out of the order of the question. If you would ask in a different order, or
Yes.
ask the question, then a failure task, and ask the other one, we would judge the question completely different.
Yes. And but the main point here is that all of you have different perception of these three situations. So some of you will say that one is more complex than the other one. This can be related with your own subjectivity, for example, or experiences, past experiences, etc. So all of these kind of factors are related with what I will try to explain later. So a more complex experiment would be with different questions. For example, first evaluating the degree of agreement with these two possibilities, then asking the question that I asked to you now, and the why question, that is something related with justification of your actions, and then something like this one, like why was it a difficult question, or maybe just an evaluation of the emotion that triggered after these situations. So all this is just one possibility. You can play that in many different ways to search for the next things that I will show. So also you can, for example, change the order of these questions to look if you find some kind of order effect or another kind of quantum cognitive effect. You can also just delete one question but repeat the same one, and in this case you would try to find something that is called affective constructive effect. So you can change this protocol in many different ways. But of course, the question, why these situations? Well, the first three situations are related to moral dilemmas. I think that most of you are familiar with these possibilities. So the nice things about moral dilemmas is that you can confront different type of reasoning. So that's the intuition behind the three situations, is that the first situation is more intuitive. So you will answer for saving the human, because we are human in some way, and we learn that this would be the best option. So why I say that? Because then when you ask the why question, most of the time you don't have a good justification of this decision. So that's why I will say it's an intuitive or emotional decision. The second situation can be related with an utilitarian possibility. So you would say the healthy boy because maybe he can live more. And the third situation is the in a way you confront these two reasoning. So you have the utilitarian or rational one and the emotional or intuitive one. So that's one of the ideas. Then the number of questions, you can change them to try to find questionnaire effects, as I said, constructive effects. But behind the two last questions, we would like to understand what is the meaning behind your decision. And try to measure if you have some more emotional versus rational reasoning, for example. So the two first things are related with quantum cognition, but the other two things are related with categorical compositional models of meaning. And what I'm trying to refer when I speak about compositional quantum cognition, it's more or less how we can mix these two frameworks to explain this kind of behavioral immoral dilemmas, for example. So, of course, we have some hypotheses. I already told all of them, some of them. So you will decide for the intuitive in situation 1 and the utilitarian in situation 2. The last one I was expecting that would be more difficult, but now I learned that for some of you it's not. So it's very interesting. We would expect some quantum cognitive effects only when you don't know the answer. So when it's unknown, the answer. So if you really have a position now already, maybe we will not find for this subject a quantum effect. But if the person is the first time that for the person is the first time that they need to answer this question, maybe they will have some kind of interference, or as we would like to call it, and answer it differently than you knew the answer. And finally, we would like to measure the meaning, how the meaning changed depending on these emotional resonance, this emotional, rational, or both resonance in these different situations. So now the next question for you probably is, but how you will do that? And one of the ideas is in the last version of categorical and compositional models of meanings is the idea of convex conceptual spaces. So you can define a space with different quality dimensions. In this case, I define just like a toy example. I define an emotional space and a rational space with different quality dimensions. In one, emotions, and in the other one, just facts in some way. And you can ask the people before the experiment to define keywords or key concepts in these spaces. So you can define man or dog, for example, in this emotional and rational space, and also other words. So it's something that we are developing actually. Then you could think that these emotional and rational spaces compound in what we call the psychological space of mind, for example, or the psychological state of mind, and then just use the usual framework of quantum cognition to model the answer, say the dog or say the man, and these kind of things. Of course, this is more complex than only this picture, but it's just to give you the idea. And finally, also again in categorical compositional models of meaning, you can define what is called sentence meaning space. The sentence meaning space is the reduction of the compositional interaction between different meanings in words and how they relate finally with one or two meanings in the sentence space. So you can take a sentence that in this case would be the answer for the why question. I will take that, we will take actually the different meanings of the words in these quality spaces, and with the imaginary of compositional model of meaning, we will reduce this answer to a few concepts. And these few concepts will be, at least in this example, related with values like love, compassion, loyalty. So what is behind of that? Behind is the idea that you will take some decisions, probably trying to balance something more, something deeper in your own behavior that would be related with, at least theoretically, with these values. The other interesting thing is like, even when you have different decisions, like say dog for the subject B and say the man for the subject A, maybe these decisions share the same meaning. And otherwise, and the opposite can be also true. Like the same decision can have completely different meanings. So with this framework, we would like to explain these possibilities and try to search about these possibilities. So what is the real motivation of these ideas? Well, the first one is that understanding of context would be, or is a crucial feature of general intelligence. So also we will try to define what is context. And for us, at least in this framework, context would emerge as a relative interaction between external and internal resources. These internal and external resources will interact in some way that will emerge meaning. And from this interaction of meaning will emerge reasoning, or will convert to reasoning. The point is that this reasoning can be a compositional reasoning. So you can have a rational reasoning, an emotional or intuitive reasoning, or many others if you wish. That's at least the theory. And the emotional or intuitive can be better described by quantum probabilities, but the rational one would be better described by classical probabilities. So we try to compound everything in one framework that we call compositional intelligence. So when you deal with some situations where you have to solve rational versus emotional, rational versus emotional options or possibilities, you will try to reduce the disequilibrium between them to take an optimal decision, let's say it like this, decision for this context. That will be a balance between your rational and emotional reasoning. So finally, what we suggest is that moral dilemmas are an interesting tool to manipulate the dilemma, manipulate the situations, try to find maybe contextuality in some way, and see how it's evolving the dynamic of the meaning behind the situations and decisions. So that's one thing. But now you can ask, well, but why you would like to define this compositional intelligence? So this is the real motivation of everything. It's try to find a better way to confront what is artificial intelligence with our human intelligence. So can artificial intelligence show a kind of compositional intelligence? Or can an artificial intelligence truly understand each context and balance responses? And finally, can we measure that? Well, the well-known Turing test cannot do that, of course. You have many problems with this amazing test, yes, but you also have a lot of criticism to this test. One of them is like the way how you take the decision if one machine or human is in the other part of the other side of the screen, it's with another human. So one human can decide that the screen or the person behind is a person or is a machine, but other human would decide something different. So how you deal with this confrontation of opinions or decisions? And the second and most important problem is the understanding problem. Even if you, for example, the best example is the Chinese rule. You can translate Chinese even if you don't know anything about Chinese, or even if you don't understand anything about Chinese, and you can do it only if you have a good set of rules to translate from one symbol or word to another one in another language. And you don't need to know any of these two languages. So this is one of the arguments. It's not my argument. It's an argument, a very old argument now for important philosophers that they were working in these kind of things. So for us, what is important is the understanding of context. So moral dilemmas could quantify maybe this understanding of context. Perfect, thank you. Measuring these probabilities of action and evolution of meaning, how we suggest, can be an objective way to confront this artificial intelligence with human intelligence. How we would do that? Well, the simplest way is just to compute the probability distribution for the mean similarity, for example, just the time reaction or another psychophysical parameter in this kind of test, and other quantum, some quantum cognitive effects, like can be order effect, but also can be contextuality, for example. And then see if you adapt these questions to current artificial intelligence, if you can get something similar or not. Of course, I think that the suggestion would be that we cannot replicate the same behavior. But we will see. Maybe it's not the correct direction. We will see. Finally, some questions could be, yeah, of course, but what is the real meaning of having this kind of machines? Can we really implement this kind of behavior? How we will do it? Well, one of our suggestions in parallel of this work is that to deal with moral dilemmas, we need a lot of different processes before the decision of moral dilemma. And all these processes are related with this, this only one possibility, a set of examples. Content constructions, understanding of content, mental memory, empathy, self-reflection, and all of them are related also with something that some people call consciousness. So it's not an easy task trying to solve these moral dilemmas with the artificial intelligence. And finally, you would expect maybe that if we can deal with these things, we will get this kind of robots. Well, I would say that maybe it would be more this kind of robots if we implement the bias, the quantum cognitive effects, etc. So just my final words about that is that any test in artificial intelligence should capture the complex and subjective human way of thinking that is also related with quantum cognition effects in an objective and replicable way. So that is the real motivation behind this proposal. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for your collaboration. Thank you very much for the reviewers to improve this work. And well, if you have questions, please, you can also read these things if you want. Thanks.